Hey, welcome to the High Brothers Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Martinez. Today we have special guest, Mr. Jordan Santiago from NYC, and he is a big Twitter person. We've had a lot of Twitter personalities on here. If you are not on Twitter or X, go get on it. You meet a lot of cool people. You network with people. There's a few guests we've had on from Twitter. We've had like a handful. Go check it out. Go get on X. Go have some fun. Go tweet. Meet some new people. You never know who you're gonna meet. So Jordan from NYC. How long you been in New York City?
My whole life, man. Queens, born and raised.
You got the NYC vibe to you. Like I read that in your bio, and I'm like, dude, this is the epitome of New York City. So if you're not watching this, you might have to go check out Jordan on this video.
Everyone I speak to, like I'll hop on calls with people from Twitter, and they're like, man, I could just tell you're from New York. I could just tell.
So Jordan's really laying on that New York City vibe right now. I can see that with the New York City style pizza on the side, and then fighting a rat on the right hand.
Yeah, I got a rat right here. I got the pizza over there. I got the bagels over there, and we're rolling, baby.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You're young. I always like highlighting young people because I think you inspire others. And I think I'm still young, but I started when I was 25. I think you started younger than me, and I always like expounding on that. So tell me about how old you are and when you started real estate, because I think a lot of people that epitome like, oh, I need to get a college degree, or maybe need to become an agent first. I need to have experience before I come into this real estate journey. So I want to crack that and put that right down right now. What you got?
Yeah, no, I'm super big on that as well, right? Because my family, my father didn't finish high school. My mother never went to college, but they were like super big on, hey, you got to go to college, you got to do this, you got to do that. And for me, I went to college strictly because I was getting recruited for baseball, right? So I had the opportunity to go and get drafted by the Detroit Tigers for the minor leagues. I decided not to do it. I decided to go to college first to try to improve my draft stock to eventually go make more money for my family. While I was at college, like it just hit me, and I had to be honest with myself finally that I just didn't love baseball like that, man. You know what I mean? I was doing it more so for other people than myself. 5 days into my first semester of college, I'm 18, I think, at that point. I just said, listen, I'm going to stop playing baseball. I emailed all my professors, hey, I'm not coming to class, right? The only class that I went to was business classes. I figured, listen, if I'm not going to go and be a Major League Baseball player, I want to get into some type of business where I control my time and things like that. So I dropped out of college after that first semester. To be honest with you, I always tell the story. The way that I found real estate was, again, I always wanted to be rich. I always wanted to make a lot of money, always wanted to take care of my family. I Googled how to make $1 million in a year. And the first thing that popped up was real estate. What do people think when they hear real estate right away? They think be a real estate agent. So that's the same thing I thought. I was, I think, 19 at the time when I finally discovered it. So I was taking a train into Manhattan every single day right by Bryant Park. And I went and got my real estate license. And that is the beginning of my real estate journey.
So you went down the real estate agent path. Are you still a real estate agent now?
So I got my real estate license. In the middle of getting my license, I discovered what wholesaling was. By the time I got my license, I was already committed to, all right, I'm going to make this wholesaling thing work, this investing side work. So I got my license, never used it to this day. 7 years later, never used it, bro, ever.
You've been doing real estate longer than me because I started about 5 years. I'm on year 6 right now. That's crazy. So
yeah, you're messing with the big boys, though. You're messing with some big boys.
It's okay. It's okay, man. Everybody takes a different path, and everybody gets to the destination at a different rate. So it's all good. It happens.
This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
It's not about me. It's about you this time, man. So, so tell me about this. So you started a business 19 years old. What was it like hiring your first employee? And
Man,
because I think this is the fun. I love asking these questions about like young people, because I think young people, like, it's a lot harder to, like, I remember my first employee I hired was like 45 and I was like 25, and I'm like, we having this conversation, I'm the boss. So I want to hear your experience with hiring your first employee, management of that first employee. Does he still work for you? He or she still work with you? Let's kind of dive down that.
Yeah, so I had a very similar experience, bro. So my first employee hire was when I was 22 years old. I think at the time he was 33. So it was a very awkward experience at first. You know, you obviously kind of want to be that boss figure, that demanding figure. But, you know, coming out of college and having zero experience within business, my family doesn't come from business. I'm the first one. So hiring this person, thank God, like, he reached out to me and was like, hey, I see you're doing real estate in New York City. I just want to learn, man. I want to learn. So he was actually based in New York City. And this is even before I knew about like virtual assistants and hiring people out of the country and things like that. I actually brought him in, and he was a cold caller for us. We were paying him, like, at the time, like $200 a week, dude. Super low. Again, it was just a weird dynamic of me being like 13 years younger than him. He doesn't work with us anymore because he had 3 kids, you know, and we were paying him like $200 a week. Great dude. We actually did make a lot of money together. He started with us really when my business started to blow up. But it took a lot of learning, you know what I mean? It took a lot of learning on how to be someone that people want to follow, but also be someone that, you know, demanding presence in the room and things of that nature. So from there on out, it's obviously gotten much easier. But when you're 22 and you're hiring someone in your 30s or late 30s or mid 40s or whatever, it's definitely an experience. It's definitely an experience.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that question, because I had a fun experience with my hiring my first employee, and I was like hearing that, because it's a growing moment that us young entrepreneurs have to deal with, and you don't necessarily know how you're going to deal with it until it happens. You're like, okay, now I got to deal with this, and it's a different dynamic. And like one of the things I love about business is like you learn. I feel like you're going back to like school. It feels like, because you're learning everything from scratch. You're doing new experiences. You're making your first hire. You're doing payroll. You're doing cold calling. Like you never cold called in high school. Like you all this stuff, you kind of have to break yourself into it, and you have to learn those skills from the bottom. So I think it's really cool, like having those experiences, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Same here.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. So is there any tips you can give young adults wanting to get into real estate? Where do you get started? Maybe they go the same path as you. Like, now that you have 7 years of experience, what advice would you give to a young person right now? How to deal with those certain impacts and different things that might come down the line when they first start a business?
Yeah, so for me, I'm someone that doesn't let age be an excuse, right? Okay. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, you know, you're still young. And dude, listen, there's like 10-year-olds on YouTube making $5 million a year. There's zero excuse for age, right? So especially for the young people, I need you to understand that you can do great shit at a young age, okay? And that was always like a goal for me. I always wanted to be like, man, I'm doing this at 22 and 23. And people, you know, when I closed on one of my deals, I kind of look older than I am. And the guy was like, how old are you? And at the time I was 24. And he was like, we were closing on $1 million deal. And he was like, holy shit, dude, like, you're killing it at that age, right? But me, I felt like I should have been doing more, right? So for me, I always tell people the age doesn't matter. The sooner you get into real estate, the better, to be honest with you, right? So you have more time to F up, and, you know, you can stay at your parents' house and make mistakes, and you don't have too many responsibilities. You're not married yet. You don't have a mortgage. So all those things you have to take advantage of. But for me, I wouldn't the real estate agent route, okay? I think I actually just made an Instagram post about this. I think becoming a real estate agent is actually one of the worst ways to get into real estate and start making. And I don't know if you agree with it, but that's just my perspective, because you go in, you got to pay for the test, and you got to study, and you got to pass a multiple test. Then you have to get interviewed by brokers, and you have to interview brokers. Then you got to go hustle for leads. Then those leads, depending on the market, may take 3, 6, 9 months to get. Then it's going to take another 2-3 months to close a deal. Then you got to split it with the broker, and you're restricted to commissions, right? So a lot of those things kind of turned me off from being a real estate agent. Of course, you can make a shit ton of money as being a real estate agent. Don't get me wrong. A lot of successful real estate agents, but there's usually like 5-10% of them are like the really, really successful ones, and the other ones are struggling, heavy. You know what I mean? Yeah. No one wants to admit that, but that's the truth, and that's the truth as well, right? So for me, I would start just like I did, which is in the wholesaling path, which is how I got, and I started making money with little money, like we'll get into my first deal, but my first 5 deals, dude, I did with no money, and went on to make thousands of dollars from it. So I think someone that is young, that wants to eventually get into building wealth and making large chunks of money and things of that nature, even if you don't have a lot of experience or good credit or a license or a lot of money, I recommend just going into the wholesaling path.
Okay. One thing that I love is that you kind of bet on yourself, and I always tell young people as a whole is like your 20s are your best time to fuck up. Like, you have all the leeway in the world. Like, worst case scenario, you can go back to your mom's couch. Like, you'll figure it out in most cases. So you kind of have a easy bet to make on yourself early on, and when you put yourself in that environment, you're forced to produce. Or especially people that are that natural drive of an entrepreneur, and you know who you are. You have that natural drive. You have that natural drive to produce, and you when you put yourself in that situation, it forces you.
100%, dude. I couldn't say it any better, and I thank God all the time that I got started early. I was able to stay at my parents' house, and even though they were like, "Yo, go get a job. This shit is not working for you," right? Like, I was terrible at it at first. It took me a long time to get my first deal, but again, it just allowed me to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, and not pay too many bills, and again, not have kids and not be married and things of that nature. I give a lot of credit to the people that get into the game a little later because it's it's some more risk. But I'm super grateful that I was able to get in and start early.
Do you have an example of a hard lesson you had early on that like either helped you good or helped you like, man, I don't want to do that again, like helped you bad?
Yeah, man. So like for me, straight off the bat, I jumped into the game because I consider myself, and I know you're the same way, it's just an immediate action taker, right? Like I move with a sense of urgency where when I think of something, I want to learn as much as possible and then boom, go get it done. So I jumped into the wholesaling game, not knowing much, not having any money. And there's 2 things, dude. I just thought of another story. You would probably want to beat my ass for this because you're a land guy. But my first direct mail campaign, I did just handwritten because again, I didn't have the money. And I got one call. The guy is, and again, at this point, I'm 19 years old. The guy calls me and he says, "Hey, do you guys buy land?" And I'm like, "What?" Like at the time, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, "Land? No, we don't buy land. I'm sorry." Boom, hang up on him. And now looking back, I'm like, shit, who knows? That could have been 30 acres, 40 acres. I don't know. You know what I mean? But again, I was not educated enough. So I'm like, buy land. I didn't know that was a thing. But the other one was I used to get so afraid of getting a seller under contract because I didn't know if I could find a buyer. So what I would do was I'd get like a verbal number from the seller and I'd go tell buyers like, hey, I can get this property at this price. And, I would send people the address without having the deal locked up. And I'm sure you know what happened after that, right? The buyer went around me. He went directly to the seller. And it actually wound up being a good deal. But again, like I didn't know too much. I didn't know how to value what a good deal was, right? So I was afraid to get them locked up. The buyer went around me, went directly to the seller, did a deal with them. I could have probably made somewhere between 10, 15 grand on that deal. I was completely cut out, deal done. Dude, I was heartbroken, bro. I'm like, oh, that was my chance. But yeah, man, those 2 are 2 where I'm like, I look back and I'm like, shit, I was just super uneducated, like super uneducated.
No, it's such a good. I like having these stories because like it brings me back to. I remember my wife had cardstock and I was married. I married my wife early in a few years, and she had cardstock. So I printed out my own postcards and I handwrote them on the back. So
there you go, handwritten.
A handwritten postcard. I mean, I was sending them out. I was using my wife's cardstock. She had on stock.
I love that.
It's such a cool, man. I think the determination it takes you a long way in this business, and not quitting, man. Because a lot of people, this is 100% fact, getting punched in the gut like that with losing out 15 grand, 20 grand, man, that shit hurts. Like that hurts. Like that'll knock you out of the game if you're not up here right. So do you have any like mental tips? Do you have like a big why? Like what's your, a lot of people like, I mean, me, it's like I have a family to feed. I know what my why is. I have to go produce daily because I have family to feed. What, you as a young person, what's your personal why to, maybe it's, I think you mentioned earlier, being the best you can be. What tips do you to find that inner strength to continue in this hard
Yeah,
game?
so for me, bro, it was always, and I always say this, like my mental tip is, you hit the nail on the head, is having a strong why, but a strong why beyond yourself, right? I think that's the most important part. Because again, like everyone wants nice cars and a big house and, you know, whatever, a boat, and everyone wants that shit. They want one of them at least, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a cheat code that is beyond yourself, whether that's, again, your family, retiring your parents, wanting to take care of your kids, impacting your community. When you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit, right? It's no longer just about you. It's about your why. It's about the other people that you have involved. So you push yourself the extra mile more than just an average Joe would. So I'm super big on having a very, very strong why outside of yourself, beyond yourself. So for me, it was always, and again, this goes back to the baseball thing as well, it was always, I want to take care of my family. I want to retire my parents. I want to take care of my sister. I want to take care of my cousins, like all my close people around me. I want to put my friends on. That was always my goal, right? So all the knockdowns that I had, did they hurt? Yeah, man. Did I sometimes think like, yo, maybe this shit is just not for me. You know, maybe I should just go do something else. 100%. And I would talk to myself about those things. And I was going through trying to get my first deal. Don't get me wrong. Darkest days of my life, dude. Super depressed, super lonely. I remember them very vividly. But the thing was, my parents mainly, I'm like, listen, bro, like my dad is waking up at 5 a.m, getting home at 9 p.m. You know, there's and I don't hear a single complaint from him. So there should be no complaining from me, right? I have the ability to go out and try to chase my dreams and do what I want. So every single day, no matter how I felt the day before, I was showing up every single day, dude. You know, even if I felt like shit and I was depressed and I was sad, I was showing up every single day because of that why that I had that was beyond me. So I always am big on, and I think everyone should sit by themselves for 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long it takes, and come up with a why that you feel so strong about that you would run through a fucking brick wall for, you know? And I think that is the cheat code that kind of kept me going.
I really want to talk about this. That's man, I love that. It's so dope, man. It's so inspirational. Yeah. So what does your dad do? And have you retired him yet? Or any of your family? Have you hit any of those goals yet?
So mama, yes. My father, no, right? My father he's a truck driver basically, right? So he delivers all in the union and stuff. But, you know, I've seen bouts of where he laid off, right? And then have to go look for a job. And then laid off again and have to go look for a job. And that was one of the things that got me saying, well, shit, I kind of have to take control of my destiny, you know? And when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I was 19, my mom was like, oh, just get in the union, you'll make $100,000 a year. Yep. And I would tell her, I'm like, Mom, like $100,000 is nothing, you know? And this is me with $0 in my pocket too, right? I'm like, $100,000 is nothing. And she's like, are you out of your mind, you know? But I always felt like, listen, is $100,000 a lot of money? Yes. But is it a little bit amount of money as well? It is too, right? In the grand scheme of things. And then especially when you don't have control of your destiny really, and you're really leaving shit into someone else's hands, that's scary, bro. And I never wanted to do that. You know what I mean? I never wanted to do that. So I'm still working on my father because my father still makes solid money, at least. In New York, it's not as solid as it would go as far as in Texas or something like that. So he's the last piece of the puzzle, bro, that I'm still grinding away to get.
So I have a couple things right here. So it's dope. It's dope you're just taking care of the fam. I think it's harder to get people that make a lot of money out of their position. It's the hardest thing because they're used to that income. One thing I do want to say about $100,000 not being a lot of money, all the trolls on Twitter agree with you.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Right, that's a popular thing.
All the trolls on Twitter agree with you. Now you can say you agree with them. And then, is there something your dad taught you that you can point out that kind of pushes you? I know you kind of mentioned it as far as like him working those long hours. Is there anything he might have said, like a quote that kind of stuck with you that you still like? It still drives and pushes you to do what you do now.
Yeah. So for me, and I didn't understand it back then, right? Like he was a big driver of like, hey man, let's go train. We got to practice for baseball, right? Yeah. And me being in high school, I'm like, I'm 15 years old, 16. I want to go party. I want to go hang out with my friends. And he would always say, always, he's like, listen, man, don't worry about your friends. Your friends are going to be there. But as you get older, you guys are going to separate. You guys are not going to see each other as much. You have to worry about yourself and not look into the person that's in the next lane besides you or what someone else is doing. And at the time, I'm like, me and my friends are hanging out every single day. So I'm like, dude, we're going to hang out every single day for the rest of our lives. Like we're like,
ride or die.
Yeah, we're ride or die, you know? And then as you become an adult, you see that changes. And I think that has played a lot into what I do now in terms of, you know, if I compare myself to all the people I went to high school with, I'm totally different than everyone else. I'm not worried about everyone else, right? They might have a job. They might do this. They might do that. I chose my own lane. I didn't care if it was a risk. I didn't care if it was less safe. I didn't care if I could be flat broke one day by taking this risk. All I cared about was worrying about what was in front of me and the people that were close around me, right, and taking care of them. So again, back then, it used to annoy me when he said it. Like, dude, it's my friends, you know what I mean? But now I think it's super important to not worry about what other people are doing, not worry about what other people are saying, right? Because again, I always say, average people make average decisions. So why would you listen to someone that is making average decisions if you don't want to be average, right? So it's like you hear people talk, you hear people criticize, you hear people give their opinions, but all you have to do is worry about what's in front of you, the task at hand, your goal, and you'll be straight.
One of the things that's crazy is that you believe your high school friends are like they literally are going to be there, and then like life happens, business happens, the road you took opens up. They got people playing. You probably have people playing baseball or going to college, and you're over here starting a business, and it's a totally different avenue, a totally different path. And you probably like your circle, like you kind of like not necessarily like not that you left them behind, but you like level up in certain areas, and you can't have the same conversations you had with them that you used to have because you're in different spaces and life just happens, and it hits you fast as a young adult. It hits you so fast. So I try to really up with that. Like, man, it's gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you. It hit everybody. It hit me. It hit Jordan. It hits everybody. So
without a doubt, it's inevitable, bro. It's inevitable.
You gotta find your own lane. That's pretty cool. I like the trucking analogy. I don't know if you know I'm from trucking, so it's kind of cool. Your dad's from trucking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
Oh, I like, I forgot which book it was actually. And it's a very simple one. I actually still have it over my bed today. And it was when I was reading, I think it might've been Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Cash Flow Quadrant. I was in that stage, you know, when you're reading the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and like you're getting into all that shit, right? It was back when I think I was 19 this time as well, maybe 20 at this point. And very simple. It's people who take risks change the world. Right. Ooh. So I think I'm someone that, again, is an action taker. I don't think there is any great thing done without risk. Right. And some people are afraid of risk. Some people are afraid to fuck up. Like I said on Twitter, I've lost over $100,000 on deals, by just taking risks. But I've made way more than that by taking risks as well. You get what I mean? So like I read that quote and again, you're 99.9% of the people that you surround yourself with or talk to or just see on the street, they're shit scared of risk. They like safety, right? They like comfort and things like that. But none of that shit changes the world. None of that shit does anything great, all right? So like for you and I, when we're trying to do something great, you got to take the risk, man. You know what I mean? It's not going to be comfortable. You got to step out of your comfort zone. and do things that maybe you never thought you'd do, or do things that scared you previously. But that risk or that quote, whenever I think, damn, shit, am I crazy right now? Am I crazy?
Yes.
I think about that. Yes, exactly. I think about that quote and I'm like, yes, I am crazy, but it's going to work out. You know what I mean? So I always think about that quote, and it always kind of forces me to step out of my comfort zone.
One thing I will say to that is that we are crazy, all of us.
We are.
All of us.
Yeah.
All of us are crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
to do what we do daily, weekly, yearly, it takes a little bit of craziness to put it on the line and work harder than anybody else and produce results harder than anybody else. And it's not for the faint of heart. If you're looking at entrepreneurship, it's definitely a uphill battle for a very long time.
100%, dude. I always say you're probably not all right in the head if you become an entrepreneur, right? But listen, like you said in the beginning, wouldn't trade it for the world.
Wouldn't trade it for the world. Your experiences in life and business form you into the crazy person we are today.
Without a doubt, bro. Without a doubt.
Is there and I think, did you have a lot of mentors coming up, or did you cycle through them, or how many mentors have you had? Do you have a mentor right now? Let's talk about a little bit of mentorship.
Yeah, good question. I wish I had a mentor back then. I really do, because it would have taken me 10, 11 months to get my first deal probably. So for me, it was just, I learned from my own mistakes. My own money lost, the few that I had, the few dollars I had, I lost it, right? And I learned from every single one of those things, which, again, looking back, would I trade it? No, because now I know how it turns out. But if I was going from day one, I didn't know how it was going to turn out, I would 1,000% be seeking a mentor. 1,000%, right? And in terms of today, like just in April this year, I spent $40,000 on mentorship. I think it's key, because there's always going to be someone above you, right? So you're either going to pay with your own pain, your own lost dollars, your own lost time, your own headaches, or you're going to pay someone to help you fast track that, right? So I've actually paid mentors in multiple different areas now, like the wholesaling and flipping side, the large multifamily side, the digital product side. I'm all about, listen, again, sense of urgency. I want to be able to execute as quick as possible. I don't want to take 10, 11 months to deal with all of my mess ups when I could pay someone and have results in 2, 3, 4, 5 months and know that I'm on the right track. I just want to follow someone's blueprint that is already successful, right? So when I was first starting, man, I had some of my buyers here in New York that would kind of give me tips. Like I would send people, hey, look at this deal I got. And it was like completely retail deal, like terrible. And they'd be like, some people would be like, dude, don't send me any more deals. Don't text me anymore. And there'd be a few buyers that are like, because they knew I was young, hey, this is a fucking terrible deal because of this, this, and this. And I'd say, oh, okay, now I understand, right? I actually, someone that I might consider my closest mentor, who was really just one of my buyers that helped me out, I was driving one day, and on the side of a Dunkin' Donuts, there's this big sign. It says, we buy houses. And at the time, I've spoken about this before, at the time, I had terrible social anxiety, terrible. Like I never wanted to speak to anyone on the phone. If someone called me, I would hang up and text them like, oh, hey, I'm busy doing something. Didn't want to speak to anyone on the phone. Yeah. So I texted this number. I didn't even call it. And I didn't expect anyone to respond. And someone did. And then he connected me with this buyer who I still do deals with today. I'll be at his office tomorrow, very big developer in New York City. And he's the one that kind of guided me. But for anyone that's just getting started, that is brand new and doesn't know what to do, I would 100% recommend join a program, join a mentorship, join a coaching or a mastermind to help you, fast track that process.
I think one thing that you're kind of alluding to is bring a deal.
Yeah, 100%. Be valuable too.
Bring a deal, be valuable. Because I've heard so many stories like that where the people found their mentor through a buyer. They bought their deal, and then they learned the ABCs from them, and they really took that to the next level just by bringing a deal, just by being valuable and bringing opportunity. And you learn a lot by doing that too. Because like you said, they taught you why that deal didn't make sense, and you learn a lot you learn a lot by messing up, and the more you mess up, the better you become. So it's just the nature of the game.
Without a doubt, bro. Without a doubt. I mean, like I said, it hurt, and going back now, okay, cool, I learned a lot, but if I could change it, I would have gotten a deal 9-10 months earlier than I would have, by myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. What markets are you in, and how big is your team right now, currently?
Yeah, so we're in multiple markets. Like, you know me, bro. Like, one of my things is I'm able to do deals all across the country. So I mainly wholesale in Jersey, Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Those are like my 4 main markets. But we get deals all over the place. We get deals in Tennessee and Texas and Arkansas and Indy and things like that. And I still own properties today. Like my 5-unit building in Tallahassee, we've owned it for 3 years. I've never been to Tallahassee, bro. I've never seen the property still. You know what I mean? So those are my 4 main markets. But obviously, again, I'm big on doing things virtually and kind of being able to be flexible and do things all across the country. How
do you find boots on the ground virtually?
That's a good one, bro. And that I feel like virtual deals is such like a mental block for people, because it's really not that much different. It's not that much harder. It's just a mental block. So for me, even though I shit on realtors a lot, I'll actually go and I'll go contact a local broker. And, you got to reach out to like 20, 25 of them just to get like 2 or 3 responses. So I'll do that and I'll let them know, hey, my name is Jordan. I'm an out-of-state investor from New York City. I have a deal in whatever market the deal's in, which is a little unfamiliar market for me. But I'm looking to connect with someone that is local there just to get your expertise so that when I do purchase this property, I can kind of get a price opinion from you. And when I do relist it, I would love to list it with you. You think you could help, right? And anyone that is smart and wants business is going to respond to that and say, hey, of course, I'll be able to help you. We got a deal just locked up in Tennessee yesterday, okay? And I have a realtor, never spoke to them in my life before. I have someone going to check it out Friday at 1 p.m., right? Tomorrow at 1 p.m. They're going to go take pictures for me. They sent me a comp report and all that good stuff. And I said, I didn't even know that person, but I came with value. I said, if I do this deal, I'll let you bring a buyer to it. Or if I buy it myself, I'll relist it with you at the end, right? So I'm leading with value, and anyone that is smart is going to see that and want to help. So now I'm here in New York City in my office or my dining room table, and I have someone that is doing the dirty work, the legwork for me, going over there, meeting with the seller, going to check things out, checking the condition, taking pictures and videos for me, sending it over to me. Now I have everything I need, whether I want to buy it, right? And I put eyes on it, someone that I could trust, someone that actually knows what they're doing, a realtor. And if I want to wholesale it, cool. I have the pictures and the videos now. Now I could just send them to buyers, see who's interested, and then set up a showing like that. So that is probably the best way that I like to utilize to find boots on the ground. Because again, the realtor probably knows what they're talking about. They know the market. They probably know what needs to be fixed, and they might already have a buyer for you. You don't know how many times where I send a realtor and they call me, they're like, oh, I have a client for this. And boom, we got a buyer in, and that's it. The deal's done very simply like that. So I always lean towards, going to a realtor.
How big is your team right now, currently?
Oh, so we have 12 people on our team. We have 12 people on our team.
Wow.
We have 2 acquisition managers, dispo, transaction, a lead manager, another VA, and then we have 6 cold callers as well.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
You've been tweeting about this, I think today or yesterday. But what's your thoughts on leads?
Oh man, so look, you and I have very different ways to get leads too, and I love it. But I actually prefer your way too. But leads are the blood flow of your business, dude. You know what I mean? Like without it, you can't even really start. You know what I mean? So for me, and what I tell all my students too is, you have to be speaking with sellers nonstop, right? Or speaking with brokers and just having conversations. It's the people that sit on the sidelines that do absolutely nothing. No deals, don't make any progress, don't network, don't build any relationships or anything like that. The lead generation portion, the marketing, is the number one thing. And the number one thing that comes with marketing is consistency in whatever marketing channel you choose, okay? Whether it's like going on the MLS or SMS or PPC or cold calling, or, you know, you're getting bird dogs to bring you, whatever it is, you just have to be mega consistent with it, because, listen, you're probably not going to get your first deal in a week, right? Which, again, people always say, oh, wholesaling is so saturated. No, it's not. A lot of people come in, very few people stay. Very few people stay past that 30-day mark, right? If you can get past that, you're putting yourself in a good position. So I think whatever you do, if you want to be successful in this business, you have to choose one lane, okay? Again, whatever it is, because they all work. Some work better than others, but they all work, and it depends on your budget. You got to stay in that lane and pound it over and over and over, just so you're getting people that are interested in selling, having conversations, and eventually a deal will land in your lap. But again, without leads, you got nothing, bro.
I always say that. It's like they all work when you work it.
That's it, bro. I like that. That's a perfect way to put it. They all work when you work it. I like that.
One thing I really want to, we'll end it right here, but it took you, I think you mentioned earlier, 10, 11 months to get your first deal. It took me 7 months. So for everybody listening, this isn't overnight success. Like, this is a lot of work and dedication that came into this just to get to the standpoint where we're at. And you can't look at somebody's year 5, year 6, year 10, year 15 and compare it to your month 6. Like, it's going to take a lot of time and effort and relationships and networking and going to events, paying for education, just doing all the right things that'll get you to where you want to be in life.
Yeah, 100%.
Where can people find you, and where can people send you a deal?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Instagram at @TheJordanSantiago, @TheJordanSantiago, on Twitter, which I love. That, I think, for me, my favorite platform, best platform for business. Maybe besides LinkedIn. I'm not even big on LinkedIn, so I don't know. But on Twitter, TheJ, just the letter J, Santiago. And you can DM me on any of those platforms to send me a deal, or you can email me at jordan@crownmane.com. That's Jordan at CROWNEDMANE.com. And I always respond to everyone, and I'm always looking to do more deals.
There you go. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things you know what to do. Go share it. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Peace.
Watching this YouTube video, we hope you found value. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to watch more videos just like this one.